everyone, welcome back to Biophilia, your all-time study mate. Today we are going to continue with the next phylum named Platyhelminthes. If you get any valuable points to help you with your studies or just to help us reach out many more, then do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our budding channel Biophilia. So let me give you some basic introduction about this phylum in a different way. So let's see it with some symptoms of clinical cases. तो आपके पास in future if there is a patient that comes to you and complains about abdominal pain, nausea, diarrhea, weakness है, he is able to see blood in his stools, or he can see some white cottony mass in his stools, and all these symptoms is trying to gather and you try to diagnose that patient. तो उस diagnosis में जहाँ पे patient is having diarrhea, weakness, white cottony mass in his stools, all that is trying to take you to a path कि वो particular patient को हो सकते हैं worms in his intestine. So these worms that he is having in his intestines can be because of these worms that comes under the phylum Platyhelminthes. So Platyhelminthes एक ऐसा phylum है which is going to be parasite that lives in human intestines. So उस condition में if you become a doctor, then what are you going to advise to that patient? You advise to take deworming medications. So वो deworming medications क्या करेगा? The worms that come under this phylum, that is Platyhelminthes, it is going to be killed in the intestine and then the patient is relieved from those worms. So deworming generally it is not like आपको अगर worms है तो ही आप खाओगे, but deworming can also be taken before and after monsoon seasons as well for a precautionary reasons. So these worms should not be in your intestine anywhere at any time. So how are these worms? What are the methods of these worms? So characteristics क्या है? All the things related to Platyhelminthes is going to be covered in this video. So how many of you are excited to understand कि ये जो diagnosis दिया है about worms, so these worms, how are they, how do they look, what are they? So all that, let's go and dig it deep into this worms. So characteristics of Platyhelminthes. So first of all, you need to understand that how these worms are actually. So these Platyhelminthic worms are going to be the flatworms. Now why are they called as flatworms? Flatworms in common because they are going to be dorso-ventrally flattened. Dorso-ventrally, that means dorso is the region जहाँ पे आपकी back होगी, या if you say you are going to have your vertebral column, and ventral is the location where you have your chest cavity, or you have your lungs and your heart. So that is ventral. So dorso-ventrally ये worms flattened होंगे, and because of that structure they are called as flatworms. Now the person who studies about these flatworms is going to undergo the study that is helminthology. So helminthology is going to be the study of these dorso-ventrally flattened worms. Now generally ये जो worms होते हैं, these flatworms, these are going to be endoparasites. Endoparasite, that means they are going to live inside the host. अब host can change, it is not necessary कि host सिर्फ humans ही हो, there can be other animals as well, but majorly they are going to be endoparasites that live inside the host body. And sometimes they can also be found as a free living worms. So these free living worms can have two categories or two habitats. First, they can be aquatic, or they in some cases they can be terrestrial as well. So they would be living on land also, but majorly कौन होंगे? Mostly they would be aquatic. And in aquatic also there is a particular example that is going to be fresh water living. Aquatic में fresh water में जो रहेगी, who is that worm? It is going to be Dugacia. Who is that worm? It is Dugacia, also called as Planaria. So Planaria आपने ये worm का नाम आपने सुना होगा with relation to regeneration property, कि ये एक ऐसी worm जो होती है, you cut that worm into 3 pieces and that each piece is going to grow into new worms. So with that reference you must have heard about this Planaria. So ये Planaria किस में अंदर आता है? It is going to come under the Platyhelminthes. Now these flatworms are going to have the organ level of organization. So For the first time they are going to have organ formation, and this organ formation is going to be developed and seen for the first time in this phylum. फिर और एक चीज जो आती है that is seen for the first time, that is bilateral symmetry. Bilateral symmetry इसके पहले और कोई भी phylum में नहीं आई थी. So bilateral symmetry is going to be what? If you cut that particular organism in an imaginary plane, you are going to get equal left and right halves. So if you can notice of this diagrams, so ये diagrams में if you try to cut the animal into this particular plane, so इस plane में काटने पे you are going to get the left and the right equal halves. Similarly, if you try to cut this lower animal as well, you are going to get equal left and the right halves. So that is nothing but bilaterally symmetrical organism. फिर ये phylum में again there is going to be formation or appearance of the third germ layer, that is mesoderm. So mesoderm का presence है, that means it is going to be triploblastic in nature. There are going to be 3 germ layers. They are acoelomate. So यहाँ पे you can see the phylum, उनके पास 3 germ layers तो आ गए. They have the origin of mesoderm, but still they are going to be acoelomate organisms. So here are the 3 important particular points जो आपको याद रखने हैं, that is they will be organ level organization, bilaterally symmetrical and triploblastic with acoelomate type of structure. Now moving ahead with the body wall, उनकी body कैसी होंगी? The body is going to have the outer epidermis, and this outer epidermis is going to be syncytial. Now what do you understand by syncytial? Syncytial होता है कि for example if you have normal condition, so you will have 2 cells with their individual nucleus. But for example कोई condition में ये जो membrane बीच में जो थी, this middle membrane got fused. Okay, the middle membrane got fused and nucleus did not fuse. So उस condition में क्या हो जाएगा? There will be one membrane with 2 nucleus. वैसे ही और आगे का भी एक cell होगा, वो cell भी fuse हो गया and they have again 3 nucleus. ऐसे बहुत सारे cell membranes अगर fuse होते गए, then there can be a condition wherein a single cell has many nucleus. So one cell with many nucleus is going to be the term that is for syncytial condition. यानी एक ही cell में जब बहुत सारे nucleus आ जाएंगे, then in that case the syncytial condition can be observed. So epidermis में क्या याद रखना है? It is going to be syncytial. Now the epidermis can be ciliated or it cannot be. So cilia present हो सकते हैं. So if cilia are present, then it will be the ciliated epidermis. Even the epidermis can have muscle fibers. So muscle जो formation होगा because of the mesoderm, that mesoderm is also going to represent in the formation of muscle fibers. Now a very important term that you need to understand, that is about parenchyma. This parenchyma is going to be a connective tissue. Now this connective tissue is going to be appeared between the body wall, यानी जो outer layer थी, that was your epidermis, and the alimentary canal जो सबसे अंदर होगी. So between your body wall and alimentary canal, all that space is going to be filled with the parenchyma connective tissue. Now let's understand with the diagram. So if you cut that particular flatworm into half, so यहाँ पे हमने क्या किया? Flatworm को half में cut कर दिया, and when you cut it, you are going to see this particular kind of structure, जहाँ पे the outermost layer is going to be made up of what? Epidermis, और सबसे अंदर में जो layer होगी, that inner layer which is represented by the blue color over here. So I have drawn the blue, that is going to be a gastrovascular cavity. What is it going to be? It is going to be gastrovascular cavity. Now between the epidermis and the gastrovascular cavity, all the space जो अभी orange से बनाया जाएगा, I hope you can see the orange part. So that orange part is going to be nothing but your parenchymatous tissue. Now this tissue is going to be originated from the connective tissue. वो क्या है? Connective tissue से originated है. So all that space will be filled and the organs and all those things will be placed into this tissue. Now let's understand about the systems. So systems में digestion कैसे होने वाला है? Digestion जो होगा उनके पास system तो नहीं होगा. Instead of digestive system, they will have incomplete system. So incomplete system का क्या meaning होता है? They will have one opening, and this one opening is going to act as both. वो single opening क्या करेगा? It will act as mouth as well as mouth and as well as your anus. So in and out is also going to be because of that single opening. A digestive system is going to be completely absent. This complete absence of digestive system in tapeworms is going to be because tapeworms are endoparasites. What are they going to be? They are going to be endoparasites. अब endoparasites जो होते हैं, they directly absorb nutrition. What are they going to do? They are going to directly absorb nutrients. So nutrients जो host body absorb करती है after digestion in the host body, तो blood से सीधा nutrients absorb कर लेते हैं, and because of that, in the due course of nature, the digestive system in this endoparasites have been gone. So वो absence क्यों है? Because they are going to directly absorb nutrients, तो उनको digestion करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, and because of that the digestive system will be absent in the endoparasites, that is tapeworms. Now regarding respiration में जो free living होते हैं, that means which are going to not depend on the parasitic mode, they will have their diffusion that is occurring with the body surface. तो पूरी की body surface जो होगी, it will undergo diffusion for the oxygen coming in and carbon dioxide going out. तो वो तो normal and aerobic respiration will continue. But for the case of parasites, जो parasites होंगे, what are they going to do? The parasites are going to live inside the body. Now when they are going to live inside the host body, there are no suitable conditions जहाँ पे उनको ऑक्सीजन या डिफ्यूजन की ज़रूरत हो. So they are going to live in the conditions of anaerobic condition जहाँ पे ऑक्सीजन की presence नहीं होगी, because oxygen is going to go from the blood. So in that condition, parasites are going to adapt themselves to live without oxygen, that is in the anaerobic conditions. Now with the condition of circulation, तो circulation के लिए से कोई specific system नहीं होगा. They won't have that heart and tubes and all those things, fancy things, उनके पास नहीं होगा. But for circulation of different materials, they can depend on the parenchymatous tissue जो body wall और gastrovascular cavity के बीच में जो था, that we saw in the previous slide, that is going to help in the circulation with the help of diffusion. तो system नहीं होगा, instead of system that parenchymatous tissue is going to help with the same. Now let's understand about the excretion and osmoregulation. So see, excretion क्या होता है? Excretion is going to be about the waste material. Very important difference, that is about excretion and osmoregulation. Excretion जो होता है, it is about the waste materials. Waste materials जो metabolic waste होते हैं, like urea, ammonia or uric acid, that is going to be excreted, that is excretion. But maintenance of water, okay, maintaining or maintenance of water is going to be nothing but the process of osmoregulation. So whatever amount of water that needs to be in the body, that is going to be osmoregulation. So ये both जो चीजें हैं, that is excretion as well as osmoregulation, that is going to be taken help with the flame cells. अब ये जो फ्लेम सेल्स होते हैं, उनके अलग अलग नाम होते हैं. दे कैन हैव द अदर नेम एज सोलैनोसाइट्स और प्रोटोनेफ्रीडिया. सो दीज टू आर नथिंग बट द अदर नेम्स. So these other specialized cells, that is flame cells, these are going to help in excretion. तो excretion किसका होगा? Excretion होगा of ammonia. Ammonia is going to be excreted out from the body, and osmoregulation, that is maintenance of water. Now why is it called as a flame cell? So if you see in the diagram adjacent, तो वो जो flame cell है, उसको अगर enlarge करके देखोगे, तो you would see the shape of the candle flame. So if this is your candle, enlarge the flame, that flame is going to represent the flame cells. So that flame bulb So वैसे name because of the shape of the candle flame. So solanocytes, protonephridia or flame cells are going to be important characteristics about platyhelminthes. Platyhelminthes बोलोगे तो flame cells should be one of the thing that should immediately strike into your head. So flame cells important with reference to platyhelminthes or the flatworms. Now let us understand about the skeleton. So skeleton जो होता है, the flatworms are not going to have any specific system regarding the skeleton. So skeleton system is going to be absent. Rather than endoskeleton हो या exoskeleton हो, वैसे भी कोई presence नहीं होगा. The entire word regarding skeleton is going to be absent in the flatworms. Moving with the next system, that is nervous system. The nervous system जो होगा, it is going to be a primitive system. Primitive है because just in the previous phylum we have seen that there is going to be a bit of advancement in the nerve cells. तो हमने previous phylum कौन सा देखा था? Previous phylum हमने देखा था that was about Ctenophores. So Ctenophores में हमने देखा था there was a diffused kind of nerve tissue. So neurons वो सब हर जगह पे इधर उधर फैले हुए थे and they were forming the nerve net. What they were forming? They were forming a nerve net like nervous system. So Ctenophores is going to be representing by the nerve net. अब अगर हम flatworms की बात करें, flatworms are going to, how are they going to represent their nervous system? Their nervous system is going to be represented by the ladder like system. How is their system? It is ladder like. अब ladder like कैसे है? So let's understand with the description of it. So first of all, there is going to be a pair of cerebral ganglia. क्या है उनके पास? Cerebral ganglia है, that too in a pair. So if you see in the diagram, there is a word mentioned that is brain. So first one and the second one, these both are going to be nothing but the cerebral ganglia, that is identical to the primitive brain. So this cerebral ganglia is going to continue down to form the longitudinal nerve cords. Now these longitudinal nerve cords can be existing in 1 to 3 pairs. Okay, यहाँ पे हमने देखा है that there are two nerve cords, so that is one pair of nerve cords, और ये nerve cords के बीच में they would be connected by the transverse commissures. So these transverse commissions are going to make the appearance look like ladder. So ये हो गए हमारे nerve cords and nerve cords के बीच में हो गए हमारे transverse commissures. So the flatworms are going to have their nervous system looking like a ladder. Now a very important point that comes regarding this nervous system, that is presence of cephalization. So cephalization अगर आपको याद होगा that we studied in the first part of this chapter wherein we saw about the basis of classification. So cephalization क्या था? Cephalization was actually gathering or collection of all sensory organs or brain at one particular end, that is generally the anterior end. So anterior end पे जब सारे sense organs या nervous tissue collect हो जाता है, that is cephalization. So cephalization is going to be seen at the first time. Okay, first time it is going to be seen in the platyhelminthes, and that is going to be because of presence of eye spots. उनके पास eye spots होंगे, उनके पास brain होगा, and all that is going to be located or situated at the anterior end. So it is just like formation of head. जैसे हमारा head होता है जहाँ पे sense organs है, brain है. So major part of the nervous system is going to be located at the anterior end, that is nothing but called as cephalization. So cephalization first time कौन से phylum में दिखेगा? That would be seen in the Platyhelminthes. Platyhelminthes में nervous system regarding what else you need to remember? You need to remember about ladder like nervous system. Now moving ahead with the next, that is reproduction. So reproduction, the flatworms are going to be hermaphrodite. Hermaphrodite है यानी both the sex organs are going to be in the single organism or single body. Exception that you need to remember, that is cystostoma. Cystostoma is not going to be hermaphrodite. उनके जो organs होंगे that would be present in two different bodies. Now generally the reproduction is going to occur sexually, that is by producing sperms and ova. But in some cases जो starting of these phylum जो आए थे because of evolution, they can reproduce asexually as well. So one of the example of flatworms that reproduces asexually is going to be planaria. So this planaria, or also called as dugacia, is going to reproduce asexually by transverse binary fission. So हमने जो earlier classes in 9th, 10th or even in 8th, you must have seen about the binary fission. So binary fission में the example of planaria might have come in your occurrence. So over here in reproduction also you can see that there is presence of ovaries, presence of testes. So ये सब क्या है, ये organs है, and that is nothing but your organ level of organization. So fertilization कैसे होगा? Fertilization of the reproductive gametes are going to be because of the internal fertilization. So internal fertilization है, that means it will be occurring in the female genital tract. So in the female genital tract, the two gametes are going to fuse, and there can be condition जहाँ पे cross fertilization हो सकता है, that is two organisms will be crossing each other. So that is fasciola or liver fluke, or there can be self fertilization जहाँ पे अपने ही body के ovaries and testes are going to release the gametes internally, and fertilization will occur near the female organ, that is occurring in the case of tinea, that is tapeworm. So cross fertilization भी हो सकता है, wherein there will be involvement of two worms, or there can be self fertilization which involves only one single worm. आफ्टर फर्टिलाइजेशन अब जो जाइगोट बनेगा, वो जाइगोट का डेवलपमेंट कैसे होगा? सो द डेवलपमेंट इज गोइंग टू ऑकर इन इनडायरेक्ट फॉर्म. इनडायरेक्ट फॉर्म है, दैट मीन्स देर आर गोइंग टू बी larva, and when the condition of larva that occurs at many stages of larva is going to be called as polyembryony. What it is called? Polyembryony. And this polyembryony is actually going to be seen in liver fluke. कौन से एग्जाम्पल में आपको देखने को मिलेगी? It will be seen in the liver fluke, also that is called as fasciola. So fasciola is going to be the worm that has the polyembryony condition, जहाँ पे 4 stages of larva present होती है. So if you try to see in the life cycle of fasciola, so first of all you will see the miracidium larva, you can see sporocyst larva. So miracidium first, sporocyst second, then radial larva is going to be third, and circaria larva is going to be the fourth. So there are going to be 4 larval stages, and then the adult fasciola is going to be formed. So इतने सारे larval stages को क्या बोलते हैं? Polyembryony. Now let's move with the parasitic adaptations of flatworms. So जैसे हमने first starting में of the video we understood कि flatworms या platyhelminthes जो होते हैं, they are going to be parasites और endoparasites to be specific. So endoparasites है, उनको किसी other organism के अंदर रहना है. So to live inside some other organism there should be some adaptations. So those adaptations are going to be 4. So what are these 4 adaptations? First of all, they will have the presence of hooks. अब hooks क्या होते हैं? Hooks are going to be the adhesive structures that are going to help to attach to the host body. So attachment के लिए use होगी these hooks, and these hooks are going to be in presence in 2 rows. वो 2 rows में present होगी, and hooks can be seen in the case of tinea. So tinea is going to be the genus जहाँ पे बहुत सारे different types of species present होती है. So these hooks will be in 2 rows. So if you can see in this particular photograph, so photograph में जो सबसे ऊपर दिख रहा है, so this particular region is going to be nothing but the hooks. Now these hooks are going to be in 2 rows. So smaller hooks and larger hooks are going to alternate each other और वैसे करके दो rows बनाए जाएंगे. Another structure or adaptation that is going to be about suckers. So these suckers are also going to help in addition, यानी वो पकड़ के रखेंगे with the suction capability, as well as they will help in ingestion. So ingestion किसका करना है? Ingestion करना है of the nutrients from the host body. तो host body को जहाँ पे उसने चिपक के रखा है, that from where they are going to suck the food. So sucking of the food is going to be because of the suckers. अब जो suckers होते हैं, ये suckers are going to be in four. There are going to be four suckers and they will be seen in the case of Taenia, that is going to be your tapeworm, and also in Fasciola, that is going to be your liver fluke. So Fasciola or Taenia, दोनों में ये four suckers are going to be seen. So if you can notice over here in this particular photograph, so these cylindrical structures are going to be nothing but your suckers. So these suckers are going to be cylindrical, और वो suctorial organs भी बोलते हैं. What do you call them else? They are called as suctorial organs. So these are going to help in the suction of the nutrients from the host body. फिर डायरेक्ट absorption of food through body surface is going to be another parasitic adaptation, जहाँ पे जो endoparasites होते हैं, these endoparasites are directly going to absorb the soluble nutrient. So since they are directly absorbing soluble nutrients, there is no need of digestive system. So as we saw in the previous regarding digestion also, कि digestive system जो होता है, it is going to be absent in the case of tapeworms. So tapeworms कौन से होते हैं? Taenia. So Taenia is going to be the tapeworm जहाँ पे digestive system नहीं होता है, because they are directly going to absorb the soluble nutrients. So they need not to digest, directly digested nutrients will be absorbed. Fourth आता है, that is thick tegument. This is going to be the external covering. अब ये covering जो होता है, it is going to be thick in nature, so that it can protect that particular tapeworm or that flatworm from the digestive juices. Generally ये endoparasites कहाँ पे मिलेंगे? These endoparasites are going to be seen in the intestines. और intestines में क्या release होगा? Intestines में there will be digestive juices. So intestines में to survive in that particular digestive juices condition, वो जो thick tegument होगा, that will protect from that digestive juices, so that वो organism digest नहीं हो जाएगा and it can survive. So for that, all those four types of adaptations are going to be seen in the flatworms, जहाँ पे वो अपने parasitic conditions को survive कर सकते हैं. Now let's understand about the classes of Platyhelminthes. So there are going to be three classes, that is Turbellaria, Trematoda and Cystoda. So one by one अभी हम इनको detail में पढ़ेंगे. So Turbellaria is going to be the class of Platyhelminthes जहाँ पे majority of your worms are going to be free living. फ्री लिविंग है यानी वो अपनी मर्जी से खुद का खाना खुद ढूंढ लेंगे, वो किसी होस्ट के ऊपर डिपेंड नहीं करेंगे. दे वोंट सक द न्यूट्रिएंट्स. दे वुड बी फ्री लिविंग, फाउंड इन मरीन और फ्रेश वाटर कंडीशंस. और उनका जो माउथ होता है, दैट इज गोइंग टू बी वेंट्रल. So mouth is ventral, and very important, that is regeneration is very common in this particular class. So regeneration यानी अगर वो किसी वजह से अगर particular worm cut हो जाती है, so for in this case if you cut the worm from here, so that remaining part is going to develop into another organism, और ये जो बचा हुआ part होगा वो develop हो जाएगा into the second organism. So regeneration power is going to be high in this particular class. So example के लिए क्या याद रखना है? Example is going to be Dugacia, or also called as Planaria. So next about the phylum, that is Trematoda. Trematoda जो class है, that is going to have the parasites. So these parasites can be ecto or endo. Ecto है, that means they are going to stick to the outer epidermis. अगर endo होंगे तो generally they are going to be found in the digestive or the elementary canal of the vertebrates. The body of Trematoda worms are going to be unsegmented, उनके पास segments नहीं होंगे, and the mouth is going to be anteriorly posed. So Turbularia में कहा था ventral position पे था, whereas in Trematoda the mouth is going to be anteriorly placed. For example, in the class of Trematoda, you are going to have fasciola, that is liver fluke, and second, that is cystoma. So cystoma is going to be the blood fluke of man and other animals. So generally, if in not in detail but in common, if you want to understand, so turbularia जो class होती है, this turbularia class is going to be about planarias, and if you see about Trematoda, then it is going to be about flukes. So liver fluke हुआ या blood fluke हुआ, so that is nothing but about the flukes. थर्ड क्लास जो होती है दैट इज सिस्टोडा, इट इज गोइंग टू हैव एंडोपैरासाइट्स. यहाँ पे एक्टो नहीं होंगे, ओनली एंडोपैरासाइट्स विच विल बी लिविंग इन द एलिमेंट्री कैनाल. उनकी बॉडी होगी डिवाइडेड इनटू फ्यू और मेनी प्रोग्लॉटिड्स. अब प्रोग्लॉटिड्स क्या होते हैं? Proglottids are going to be the pseudo segmentations. So हमने जो फर्स्ट क्लास में देखा था about this chapter, presence of pseudo metamerism, जहाँ पे सिर्फ आपको बाहर से देखकर लगता है that there are going to be segments, but they are not present in reality. So that is nothing but called as proglottids. So if you must have seen the tapeworm, so tapeworms are going to be nothing but these proglottids having worms. So proglottids जो होते हैं, they are these small compartment like structures that are going to be the false segments. So examples of cystoda, they are going to be Taenia solium. So Taenia solium is going to be called as a pork worm. Taenia saginata is going to be the beef worm. अब pork worm और beef worm में क्या फर्क है? The major difference between Taenia solium and Taenia saginata is going to be with the reference that the Taenia saginata, they will not have hook and rostulum. So hook और rostulum यानी जो हमने previous slides में देखा था about presence of 2 rows of hooks. So वो जो hooks होते हैं, the hooks will not be present in saginata. So let me write it down over here, that is hooks are going to be absent in the case of Taenia saginata. First difference between Taenia solium and Taenia saginata. Second difference होता है that Taenia saginata is going to be longer. So if you can see over here in the diagram or the photograph as well, the Taenia saginata is going to be longer. और ये किससे कंपेयर हो रहा है? कंपेयर हो रहा है विद द केस ऑफ Taenia solium और द pork worm. और थर्ड मेजर इम्पॉर्टेंट, दैट इज Taenia saginata is going to be common in man. सो जनरली जो इन्फेक्शन होता है, इन्फेक्शन Taenia saginata की वजह से होता है, not because of Taenia solium. So if man is infected because of the Taenia, that is tapeworms, so generally the species is going to be Taenia saginata or the beef tapeworm. Third example होता है, that is about the Echinococcus. This Echinococcus is going to be also called as the dog tapeworm. So यहाँ पे 3 organisms आए हैं. First, that is pork, that is regarding the pig, beef, that is regarding the cow, and dog tapeworm. So Echinococcus के लिए one major important thing that you need to remember, that is it is going to be the smallest tapeworm. वो कैसी है? It is going to be the smallest tapeworm with reference to the Cystoda class. So यहाँ पे हमने इतने सारे examples देखे about Platyhelminthes, that is Ducacia planaria, which is going to be a very important and favorite example with reference to NCERT. फिर और एक example आता है, that is Fasciola, that is liver fluke, and the Taenia solium. These 3 are going to be the important examples with reference to NCERT. But ये बाकी के जो 3 examples है, these are going to be asked many a times in previous year questions. So previous year questions में अगर पूछा गया है, that means you should know about them because they have a high chance that they come back in the future exams. So for that reason you need to remember about these three other examples as well. So now let's understand in detail about the two major worms. First, that is Fasciola liver fluke और दूसरी जो हम worm पढ़ेंगे that is going to be Taenia solium. So first Fasciola that is liver fluke के बारे में हम डिटेल में पढ़ते हैं. So Fasciola is going to be a digenetic endoparasite. Now what do you understand by digenetic? Digenetic, that means they need more than two or more than one host. What do they need? They need more than one host to complete their life cycle. So जैसे if you consider about liver flukes, so liver flukes they need two hosts, that is going to be first primary host, that is the sheep or the goat, और intermediate या second host होता है that is snails. So यहाँ पे कितने दो host लगे to complete the life cycle. So that is going to be the meaning of digenetic life cycle. And it is going to be a endoparasite because वो bile duct में रह सकती है या फिर in the intestines. So that is it is going to live inside the body, that is endoparasite. Now if it is found in sheep or goat, that is the primary host. So primary host may it is going to cause the infection that is called as liver rot. So that liver rot can be because of the fasciola that is present in the bile duct of the primary host. Now if you try to understand the body of fasciola in detail, so you might understand कि fasciola जो होता है उसकी जो anterior body है, that is the frontal part of the body, it is going to form a head. अब ये head lobe जो बनेगा, that head lobe is going to have a oral sucker. So हमने पढ़ा था that these flatworms for the parasitic adaptations they are going to have suckers. So वो जो head lobe बनेगा, वो head lobe is going to have a oral sucker as well as a mouth. So if you see in the diagram, the fasciola की जो anterior part है, आगे वाला portion है, that is going to have a mouth as well as a oral sucker. अब oral suckers is one of the suckers. It is going to have two muscular suckers. कौन से दो muscular suckers है? First that is oral sucker जो हमने देखा, it is enclosed by the mouth, and second sucker that is going to be the ventral sucker. और ये वेंट्रल सकर को एक स्पेसिफिक नाम दिया है, दैट इज एसिटाबुलम. क्या है उसका नाम? एसिटाबुलम. सो इफ यू सी इन द डायग्राम, एसिटाबुलम दैट इज गोइंग टू बी योर वेंट्रल सकर. सो इफ यू सी अबाउट द नेम, और ये अगर ऑप्शंस में दिख जाए दैट व्हाट इज एसिटाबुलम इन लिवर फ्लूक, so acetabulum in liver fluke is nothing but the ventral muscular sucker. So it is not going to have any aperture, जैसे oral sucker के पास mouth था, वैसे acetabulum के पास कोई enclosure या it is not going to have any aperture, and it is going to be present ventrally, जिसकी वजह से उसका नाम क्या है? Ventral sucker or the acetabulum. अब जो major permanent openings of the body of liver fluke जो है, that is three permanent apertures. Apertures are nothing but openings. So the important openings that are permanent seen in the body of liver fluke, that is going to be mouth first, that is mouth. Second that is genital pore, and third is the excretory pore. So if you can locate these three particular openings in the diagram, so let's see first कौन सा होगा. First is going to be mouth, second is going to be the common excretory pore, that is going to be gonopore, जहाँ से the genital pore is going to come, and the last that is excretory pore or the third permanent aperture. Now, if you can notice from the diagram that you did not find the labeling of anus. So anus is going to be absent. Anus absent है, and because of that reason only it is a single opening. Single opening है, that means it is an incomplete type of digestive system. So only the mouth is going to function to the ingestion of the food and also for the excretion of the food. So if you consider about the mouth, तो mouth क्या क्या काम करता है? Mouth is going to feed on the bile, on the blood, on lymph and the cellular debris. Mouth किस पे feed करेगा? Mouth will feed on what conditions? Bile, it will feed on blood, it will feed on lymph and the cellular debris. अब वो बाइल पे क्यों करेगा फीड? बाइल कैसे मिलेगा उसे? बाइल मिलेगा बिकॉज इट इज गोइंग टू लिव इन द बाइल डक्ट. सो बाइल डक्ट में है, सो बाइल इज गोइंग टू बी abundantly available. So majorly it will feed on bile, then blood, lymph and cellular debris. फिर common genital pore जो होगा, that is going to be helpful in the gametes transfer. So gamete transfer के लिए genital pore होगा, and the excretory pore is going to be the place जहाँ से indigested matter is going to go out. So indigested matter can either go out from the excretory pore, that is in the form of ammonia, या फिर the feces are going to come out from the mouth क्योंकि anus is going to be absent. So one and only pore that is going to help in the ingestion, that is mouth, or excretion के लिए that can be the excretory pore or the mouth. Now let's move to the next topic about fasciola, that is its life cycle. So life cycle हमने fasciola के बारे में एक चीज पढ़ी थी, that was about polyembryony. So what was polyembryony? Just now in this some previous slides we saw about polyembryony, that is nothing but presence of many larvas. So वो larvas कैसे है, how do they develop, where are they present, all that can be understood in detail with the reference to the life cycle of the liver flukes or the fasciola. So generally जो start होगा of the life cycle, that is going to be with the adult fasciola. So जब adult liver fluke which is going to be reproductively matured enough, there is going to be presence of cross fertilization. So अब जो eggs produce होंगे from the female, that female can produce about 2 lakh eggs in 11 years. So 2 lakh eggs in 11 years अगर एक single female produce कर सकती है, in that case there are going to be many more liver flukes that can be ingested by the host. So उस condition में the intestines can get blocked and the animal or the person can undergo anemia because of loss of blood. So it is not advisable to keep these worms for a long period of time. जैसे ही आपको पता चलेगा that the animal or the human is having that worms in his intestine, they need to be killed or they need to be removed so that they do not grow and cause you any further discomfort. So for that precautionary reasons, even animals and as well as humans are advised to undergo the procedure of deworming. So deworming जो होता है, that is going to be taken in regular intervals so that these worms, if by any chance वो ingest हो भी जाते हैं, then they are not going to survive into that condition. So moving ahead with the life cycle of fasciola, so cross fertilization हो जाएगा in the oviduct. After the cross fertilization there is going to be formation of embryo. अब embryo जो है, it is going to be a newborn structure. Now it is not going to be developed कि वो उतने सारे digestive juices के साथ जाके it is going to survive. So उसके लिए एक special jacket बनाया जाएगा, that is nothing but it will be encapsulated. उसको एक कवरिंग के अंदर बंद करके वो एम्ब्रियो को भेज दिया जाएगा to move out from the feces of the primary host. अब ये encapsulated जो अपने छोटे से बंकर के अंदर बैठ के जो एम्ब्रियो बाहर निकला है with the feces of the primary host. So primary host कौन होता है? Primary host is generally the sheep or the goat in the case of liver fluke. So sheep या goat के जो feces होते हैं, the droppings of the host, अगर वो droppings में these encapsulated embryos present है, then it is going to be the infected feces. अभी infected feces से आगे क्या होगा? So in the favorable conditions, this particular encapsulated embryo is going to convert itself to the first larva. The first larva कौन सा है? First larva is going to be Miracidium larva. So first larva, that is Miracidium. So even you can see in the life cycle of the diagram over here. So adult fasciola जो है उसमें क्रॉस फर्टिलाइजेशन हुआ, then the encapsulated miracidium, that is the encapsulated embryo, is going to move out from the होस्ट फीसिस, और वो अगर फेवरेबल कंडीशंस उसको मिल जाते हैं, इन दैट केस दे इज गोइंग टू डेवलपमेंट ऑफ द मीरासीडियम लार्वा. अब ये मीरासीडियम लार्वा जो है इट इज गोइंग टू फ्रीली मूव इन द वाटर, बिकॉज देर इज कंडीशंस कि ये फीसिस कोई पानी के पानी के साथ मिक्स हो जाए, because generally feces will flow out of in water, so it will freely move in water and it is going to be free living. It is not going to be parasitic. It does not feed, very important, it will not feed, or it is not going to be parasitic in nature. It will be free living. अब मीरासीडियम लार्वा के बाद इफ इट कम्स इन द कॉन्टैक्ट विथ स्नेल्स, क्योंकि जनरली स्नेल्स कहाँ मिलते हैं, स्नेल्स मिलेंगे इन द वाटर और द एक्वेटिक कंडीशंस. तो ये जो इन्फेक्टेड फीसेस थे फ्रॉम द प्राइमरी होस्ट वो पानी में मिक्स हो गए. नाउ वाटर इज इन्फेक्टेड विद द मीरासीडियम लार्वा. इफ दैट स्नेल कम्स इन कॉन्टैक्ट विथ दिस लार्वा एंड इफ इट इंजेस्ट्स दैट लार्वा, एंड देन what is going to happen, ये जो लार्वा है वो उसके डाइजेस्टिव ग्लैंड्स में जाके पहुंच जाएगा. and once that miracidium larva has reached the digestive gland, it is going to develop into the second larva, that is the sporocyst larva. so miracidium larva जब snail के digestive gland में पहुंच जाएगा, it will convert itself into the sporocyst larva, that is the second stage. अब ये स्पोरोसिस्ट जो होगा, दैट स्पोरोसिस्ट इज गोइंग टू मूव इनटू द होस्ट टिश्यूज. सो उसको वो ग्लैंड से तो इट वाज हैप्पी विद द ग्लैंड, बट स्टिल इट विल मूव इनटू द टिश्यूज ऑफ द होस्ट. एंड वंस इट रीचेस द टिश्यूज, वो सारा का सारा जो न्यूट्रिशन है दैट नीड्स टू गो फॉर द ग्रोथ एंड डेवलपमेंट ऑफ द स्नेल, वो सारा का सारा बीच में ही बैठ के द स्पोरोसिस्ट लार्वा इज गोइंग टू स्टार्ट consuming. So sporocyst larva is going to start its parasitic life, because उसका जो previous larva था, that was miracidium, it was not parasitic, it was free living. but parasitic conditions कब से start होंगे, from the sporocyst larva. now this sporocyst larva, once it starts to get nutrition from absorbing from the tissues of the host, वो sporocyst larva अपने आप को further it will start to develop itself and form 5 to 8 radial larva. तो third stage of larva present हो जाएगी, that is your radial larva. so sporocyst larva ने अपने आप को खा पी लिया, and then there is going to be the formation of third, that is radial larva. so if you can see in the life cycle diagram कि हर larva is going to be looking different. so that is because of called as polyembryonic, उसमें बहुत सारे larval stages present होंगे. now each sporocyst producing 5 to 8 radial larva. अब ये radial larva क्या करेंगे, they are going to emerge out from the sporocyst. sporocyst के अंदर form हो रहे थे, now they will burst open and now they will start to feed on the host tissues. now this host tissues, when the radial larva are going to start eating the host tissues, there will be formation of the fourth stage of the larva, that is the Cercaria larva. the Cercaria larva will be formed inside the body of the radial larva. so पहले sporocyst के अंदर रेडिया बना, अब रेडिया के अंदर क्या बनेगा, Cercaria larva. now this is going to get out from the radiae. it will move, अभी रेडिया कहाँ थे, रेडिया was inside the host tissues, now it will move out of the host tissues as well, and now it will come to the surrounding waters. क्योंकि surrounding waters में कौन है, surrounding waters में snails है. so snails की body से जब ये बाहर निकल आएगा, it will reach into the surrounding water. and once that Cercaria larva is going to reach into the surrounding waters, they are going to freely move into that water. and now जैसे उनको न्यूट्रिशन वगैरह कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, because there is no host, and when there is no host, no nutrition to conserve energy, they are going to become inactive. and once they become inactive, they are going to form the next larva, that is called as metaceria larva. what is it going to be, Cercaria larva. So encysted मेटासीरिया larva, when it is going to be present in that water, तो वो पानी जो infected water है, अगर उसको in some cases वो water अगर grasses के ऊपर छिड़क दिया गया, या if it flows from the drainage and it reaches to the grasslands, in all that cases ये जो encysted larva है, that larva can stay on that grass and it can live for a longer time, क्योंकि वो encysted है, उसको एक पक्कर के अंदर बंद करके भेजा है, and when it lives for a longer time it can have a chance to enter the host's liver again. So वो जो sheep या goat जो grass के ऊपर feed करेगी, हो सकता है that during the feed from the grasses this metacircaria larva has reached to the primary host liver, और जैसी है ये larva, that is metacircaria larva, that capsule is going to break open and the adult fasciola is going to be formed inside the primary host's liver. So वैसे ही adult बनेगा, again there is going to be cross fertilization and simultaneously the entire life cycle will be completed with the help of sheep or goat and the snail. So ये ऐसे दो hosts को मिला के the entire life cycle of fasciola is going to get completed. So I hope with the short notes and the diagram you could understand the life cycle of fasciola or the liver fluke. Now moving with the next important example, that was about Taenia solium. So Taenia solium, that is pork worm. That pork is regarding the pig. So pig के जो fats होते हैं, the pig का जो meat होता है, that is called as pork. So this worm is going to reach the humans because of the people who eat uncooked pork. So if it is not cooked properly, तो ये जो meat है from the pig, that is pork, that pork can infect you with this Taenia solium. So अब ये टेनिया सोलियम होती कैसी है? It is going to be ribbon shaped organism and it is diagenic, that means it requires one or more than one hosts to complete its life cycle and it is going to be endoparasite. So primary host जो होगा जहाँ पे majority of the life is going to complete, that is going to be the small intestine of adults, that is humans, or secondary host होगा wherein the larva is going to develop. So larval development होगा in the muscles of the pig, but the adults wherein the sexual reproduction will occur, that will be in the primary host, that is small intestine of humans. Now टीनिया सोलियम की जो बॉडी होती है वो बॉडी को मेजरली 3 पोर्शंस में डिवाइड करते हैं. फर्स्ट दैट इज गोइंग टू बी स्क्यूलेक्स, second that is neck, and third that is strobili. So these are going to be the 3 regions that you need to study in detail. Now let's see about the first part, that is sculex. अब sculex जो है उसके पास अलग अलग parts होते हैं. So the first of part of sculex, that is rostellum. Now this rostellum is going to be the prominent mobile cone at the apex of the body. अब ये जो sculex होता है, so you can see in the diagram this is going to be the sculex, or you can say like the head region for easier understanding. So head region or the prominence is going to be nothing but the sculex. It is going to have the chitinous hooks. So 32 या 22 hooks हो सकते हैं arranged in 2 rows, and that is going to make up the first part, that is rostellum. So this part जहाँ पे you will have the mouth and the hooks, that is going to be the region of the rostellum. Now important point, if you remember हमने एक चीज और पढ़ी थी, that was if the rostellum is absent. So where is the rostellum absent? Rostellum is going to be absent in the Taenia saginata. Where is it going to be absent? It will be absent in Taenia saginata worm, but rostellum is going to be present in the Taenia solenum. So this is going to be the differentiating point between Taenia solium जहाँ पे rostellum present है और Taenia saginata जहाँ पे rostellum is going to be absent. Now another parts that is going to be present and the sculex, that is going to be 4 hemispherical highly muscular suctorial organs. So these suctorial organs are nothing but the suckers. So these are going to be in 4 hemispherical muscular structures, और ये suckers जो होंगे उनके पास कोई hooks या spines नहीं होंगे, but they will be muscular so that they can suck the particular nutrients and they can also help to attach to the body. So these over here, if you can see, these are going to be your suckers that are 4 in number. अब ये जो hooks हमने पढ़े and the suckers that we saw, these are going to be the organs only for the attachment purpose. वो attachment के लिए use होंगे. The suckers and hooks are not going to have any role in ingestion. वो कोई भी nutrition derive करने के लिए they will not be used. So that was about the first part. अब ये thorax के नीचे का जो region होगा that will be the neck. So this neck is going to be small, narrow, undifferentiated part behind the thorax. Now it is going to have the process that is going to start from the neck, that is addition of new segments to the strobili. So जैसे हमने पढ़ा था about tapeworms. So tapeworms, what they are going to have, they are going to have many small segments that are called as proglottids. What are they called as? Proglottids. These proglottids are going to be nothing but the false segmentations. So these proglottids need to be added. So ये जो proglottids, जो new proglottids formation होगा, that is going to be started or initiated at the neck region, and the process wherein the new segments or the new proglottid is added to the body, that is called as strobilization. So addition of new proglottids or new segments is nothing but strobilization. Now the last part of the body, that is strobila. The strobila is going to have many false segments, and these segments are nothing but the proglottids. So these proglottids are going to be in high numbers, that is about 800 to thousands in segments. So you can imagine कि वो कितनी लंबी worm होगी. So these segments can be divided into many regions based on their maturity. So जो सबसे आगे होंगे, that is nearer to the neck region, so these are going to be immature and they will not have any reproductive organs. So जो आगे की side पे, that is nearer to the neck. So here is going to be your neck. If you can see in the diagram, here will be your neck. So the proglottids or the segments which are nearer to the neck, these are going to be your anterior or the immature type of proglottids. That means they will have no sex organs or reproductive organs. Now after about 200 proglottids, अंदाजे से, not specific number, they can have little bit of variation, but approximately from the 200 proglottids the male organs are going to start. Yani mature proglottids are going to start, that is male organs are formed. From about 250 to 650th proglottids, there are going to be both male and female sex organs. That means the mature proglottid formation is going to occur. So अब ये जो part होगा, this part is going to be nothing but your mature proglottids. अब mature proglottids जो होते हैं, generally the mature proglottids are going to be broader. Okay, how are they going to be? They are going to be broader. उनकी जो breadth होगी वो ज़्यादा होगी, and they will be shorter in length. They will be broader and shorter. So वो ऐसे होंगे, उनकी length नहीं होगी, but they will be broad enough. Now if the remaining proglottids are considered, so the remaining part is going to be the gravid proglottids. What are they? Gravid proglottids. These are going to be the most oldest proglottids, क्योंकि जैसे हमने देखा कि नेक के रीजन से नए इमेच्योर प्रोग्लॉटिड्स आना शुरू होते हैं. सो अगर नेक के रीजन से आना शुरू होंगे, सो वन बाय वन दे विल बी पुश्ड बैकवर्ड्स. So this way the movement is going to occur. So in this way, if you see the last part or the last segment, these are going to be the oldest, and these oldest are nothing but called as gravid proglottids, which are going to be longer वो कैसे होंगे? They will be longer and they will be narrower. सो उनकी ब्रेथ नहीं होगी, वो सिर्फ लंबे होंगे, दैट इज प्रोवाइडिंग द लेंथ. And very important about this oldest gravid proglottids, that is, since they are very old enough, these are going to lose their sex organs, and when they lose their sex organs, they will have their uterus descended. अब uterus जब descend हो जाएगा, they will have the presence of eggs, and these eggs are going to be the new generations. So when the last segments of the gravids proglottis, these are going to detach, वो break हो जाएंगे because of the longer lifespan that they have lived, and these broken last segments of gravid proglottis, these are going to move out from the host in the feces format. तो feces के साथ जब ये last gravids are going to come out, these are going to be filled with eggs, and the process wherein the last segments are going to come out with the feces, that is called as apolysis. So apolysis is one of the process that we understood, and the second process was about stabilization. So stabilization है wherein the new segments are formed, and apolysis is the process where say older segments are going to be getting rid of from the organism. So these are the true processes where say the old and the new ones are going to be considered. So moving ahead with the life cycle of Taenia solium. So life cycle जो होगी, that is about the pork worm, that is Taenia solium. So pork worm है, so it needs to be involving the pig. So how is the pig involved in the life cycle? Let's understand. So first of all, there is going to be the starting of the new life cycle with the fertilization. So fertilization is going to occur, and that can occur with the same organism जहाँ पे internally the fertilization will occur, that is self fertilization. If there are different proglottids involved, that is going to be the cross fertilization. So that is going to be the two ways जहाँ से the zygote can be formed. Now the zygote, it is the newborn. So as we saw in the life cycle of Fasciola as well, जो zygote होगा वो zygote को एक थिक कैप्सूल में बंद कर देते हैं, so that it can have that time to pass through that particular intestine. So this thick capsulated zygote is going to pass through the uterus, and from the uterus of the tapeworm. So ये uterus किसका है? ये uterus tapeworm का है, not the host. It is the uterus of the tapeworm. So once it passes the uterus of the tapeworm, it is going to move out of that and form the morula. A morula जो है, this morula is going to have many different cells, that is cell division जब हो जाएगा, there will be formation of morula. Now this morula is going to be at the posterior end, and it will develop 3 pairs of chitinous hooks. So जो हमने hooks देखे थे in the rostrum, so these are going to develop at the morula stage, and since it has 3 pairs है यानी कितने hooks है? There will be presence of 6 hooks. So since they have 6 hooks, they will be called as hexacanth. What is it called as? Hexacanth. And this hexacanth is going to be surrounded by 2 membranes. वो कौन से 2 membranes है? तो hexacanth के साथ अगर 2 membranes surround कर लेते हैं, that is going to be the new name, that is oncospore. So first of all, what did it have? First of all, it had zygote. So first we saw about zygote. Second हमने देखा about morula. Morula के अंदर जब hooks develop हो जाते हैं, that is hexacanth. And after hexacanth, if it is getting covered with the 2 membranes, then it will be the oncosphere. Now oncosphere is going to come out with the help of feces by the process of apolysis. So apolysis हमने देखा जहाँ पे the last segments of gravid proglottis are going to break, and with that breakage they are going to come out from the stool or the feces of the primary host. Now from here जो stools है, so generally the primary host is going to be the human. So human intestines से जब feces के मदद से when the oncospores are going to come out, they will go into the drainage. वो drainage में जाके it will mix with the water, and if that infected water is going to reach to the pigs, that is going to be the secondary host. Secondary host कौन है? Secondary host is going to be the pig. Now if that pig is going to surround itself with the drainage system or drainage water जहाँ पे these oncospheres are going to be present, and then if it tries to drink that drainage infected water, then the oncospheres are going to enter into the body of the pig. Now when that oncospheres enter into the body of the pig, they will lose their membranes. So जो membranes जो covering थी उनके पास वो digest हो जाएगी because of the digestive juices present in the body of that pig, and digestive juices से जैसे ही membranes release हो जाएंगी, it will uncover itself, and what will come out of it? Oncospheres के अंदर कौन बैठा था? That was the presence of hexacanth. So hexacanth, which was having its hooks, that is going to get exposed, and these hexacanth is going to reach the striated muscles. So digestive juices में that was in the intestinal region. So intestinal region से जो intestinal mucosa के अंदर holes बना के और it will start boring. So once it starts boring, the particular pig is going to experience a lot of abdominal pain. Okay, if you try to understand this, are not going to be in single numbers. ये जो oncospheres होंगे वो बहुत सारे numbers में ingest हो जाएंगे because they are small microscopic structures. So एक साथ जब इतने सारे hexacanth starts to drill the intestinal mucosa, the animal is going to be in extreme abdominal pain. So this abdominal pain can be regarding because of the boring of the intestinal mucosa. Now once this hexacanth has started to bore and it reaches the striated muscles, so अब muscles में जब ये पहुंच गया है, now it is safe, यहाँ पे कोई digestive juices नहीं आएंगे, and now it is safely sitting into the muscles, enjoying its nutritious meal from the blood and lymph that is coming to that place. और अब वो अपने आप को फिर से रूप चेंज करेगा. It will change its larva stage, and it will form the bladder worm or the ancestress larva. The ancestress larva is going to develop into the adult tapeworm once it is going to be ingested by the man. So जैसे muscles में ये ancestors larva ये bladder worm is going to be formed. So generally humans क्या खाते हैं? Pig का pork खाते हैं. That is, the muscles of the pig are going to be eaten or consumed in the form of pig meat. So if that meat is going to be infected with this bladder worms, so ये worms अगर cook नहीं हो रहा है pork अच्छे से, if the pork is not cooked at right temperature where the worms can be dead, और ये ऐसे ही uncooked condition में अगर meat ingest कर लेता है the human, then that ancestress larvae are going to develop into the adult tapeworm, and these tapeworms are going to survive in the intestines of the man, and then entire life cycle is going to again continue with the help of fertilization. So it is very important to remember that human, that is the host, primary host, it will only get infected with this particular Taenia solium because of uncooked or less cooked pork. अगर pork को अच्छे से cook नहीं किया है at right temperature, then the human has high chances to get infected with this measly pork. Another thing to remember about, that is a bit regarding your clinical subjects, that is एनसिस्ट्रोसिस, that is the infection because of the bladder worm. तो जो larva थी that was found in the muscles of the muscles of the pig. So pork के अंदर जो larva थी उसकी वजह से जो infection होता है, that is going to be more harmful than if you have the teniasis, that is presence of the adult tapeworms. Why? Because this cysticercosis is going to be the condition wherein it can cause lumps under the skin. If you have these different larvas in your body, वो lumps create करते हैं under your skin, and if it these larvae tries to go and reach the brain or the spinal cord, then you can have extreme headaches, there can be seizures, and that is going to be a life threatening disease. So जो larva condition है that is going to be more harmful than the adult tapeworms. So adult tapeworms का जो infection होता है that is called as teniasis. So teniasis में generally the infection is not going to cause any symptoms, but in extreme cases अगर बहुत सारे worms adult worms है in the intestine, then the patient can experience stomach pain, there can be loss of appetite, तो इच्छा ही नहीं होगी खाने की, and there can be weight loss because the nutrients that you are eating are actually वो चोरी कर लेता है. The worm is going to take away that nutrients and the body of the host is not going to get any nutrients. So weight loss होगा, there will be upset of the stomach, diarrhea, nausea, all that symptoms can be seen in the teniasis. So teniasis को जो symptoms होते हैं they are comparatively less harmful to the body than the cysticercosis condition. So that was a little point that can be asked in exams for the future as well. So that was important for you to understand with the life cycle of Taenia solium. So उससे हमें क्या एक सीख क्या मिली है, that all these worms are going to be present and they can have extreme conditions, extreme effects in your body. So it is very important to properly cook the meat. If you eat meat khana hai, then there should be proper cooking at right temperature so that all these larvae and worms do not enter into your body and cause and sit as a parasite into your body. So cook your meat properly if you want to eat it. So that can be either your chicken meat, your pork meat, or any other sort of meat that you might be consuming. So जैसे अभी हमने सारा डिस्कशन अबाउट प्लैटीहेल्मिन्थेस कवर कर लिया है, नाउ वी हैव अंडरस्टूड अबाउट द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ द वर्म्स, अबाउट एग्जांपल्स एंड आल्सो द लाइफ साइकिल दैट वाज रिक्वायर्ड. सो जैसे ये सारा कॉन्सेप्ट बिल्डिंग हो गया है, नाउ इट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर यू टू अंडरस्टैंड कि कॉन्सेप्ट्स कितने it has been incorporated in your memory. So for memory basis you need to try to solve as many as questions possible. So just for initiation कि आप ये question solve करो and try to understand how many more times you need to watch the videos so that you cover the entire topics in detail. So here 5 questions I have tried to give it to you so that you can try to understand that how the questions are asked और आपको कैसे टाइप के क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करने हैं. So you can let me know your answers in the comment section down below so that you can have the discussion in the right way with other people watching these videos as well. So ये 5 questions के answers तो होंगे no doubt, but you have to solve many more questions regarding the topic that we have covered in this video. So ये 5 questions are not sufficient, many more to go. So you can also try to solve those, and if you do not get, then do watch this video again. I hope you will find all your answers regarding to those questions as well in this video. So if you like our efforts to make you understand these topics in a better way and try to give you the understanding concepts with the help of MCQs, so don't forget to like, share and subscribe and hit the bell icon so you get notified for the upcoming parts of these and the other chapters as well. तो अगर आपको ये अच्छा लग रहा है, if you get any help, then stay connected to Biophilia till we come back with the next part of this chapter. Keep smiling, keep studying hard. We'll meet you back soon with the next part. Till then, bye bye. Thank you.